How are you guys doing? My name is Dirk. I am a member of the Sanguis Luna Pirate organization on the racing team, as well as an avid member of Extreme G Racing, XGR, in Star Citizen. I just wanted to make a quick video with my thoughts on the recent changes that have been made to master modes and how it affects racing and what this sort of looks like as a racer. And what sort of things we like and what sort of things we don't. So one of the interesting things here, as you're watching, this is a run that I did on the new Pyro track designed specifically for testing. You're going to notice, and you might have picked up on it on that first long straight, using the switch over to SEM mode from nav mode as a form of braking. And I'm going to do it again here on this next corner. And what's interesting here is when you're in nav mode, you can move at 1200 meters per second, and I turn it into SCM mode, and it brakes really fast, all the way down to, say, 400 meters. But as you watch here, you see I have to now move quite slow while I sit in SCM mode, and right there I just made the transition back to nav mode so that I can move back up to higher speeds. The problem with SCM mode being that when you're in decoupled and you are moving faster than normal SCM due to some boost, you can't actually make any minor adjustments to your vector at all. And this makes it rather difficult to race and to make adjustments to protect yourself from harm, running into objects, or just to get back onto your line and to follow the proper line that you want. And not only that, SCM mode is rather slow. It is much slower than nav mode. If you watch me through those turns, and if you wanted to go back, you'll notice quite a few times where, even in those really tight sections, the ship is easily reaching back to SCM mode. And you're going to see here, so here's a time that I get using that traditional swapping from SCM to nav, and a pretty respectable 155. But then another community member, Bill Boy, actually during some testing discovered a way to gain that braking method, and from switching to nav to SCM. I'm just resetting on my lap here, and I actually find that with this new method, it's not quite so bad. It is almost assuredly a bug. Instead of using my mode switch to go from nav mode into SCM to brake, instead you're going to see me at the end of this long straight. I'm just going to shut off my engines and turn them back on rather quickly. I'm going to quickly hit the toggle, and this is going to still result in that SCM speed drop. As you see there, I kill, my engines are back on, and you see I still got that massive speed drop as I got during the other mode switches, but I didn't have to deal with that lag. You see here I'm going much faster through this section of the track because I didn't have to deal with that cooldown lag of switching from nav to SCM. And I think really at the core of what makes it difficult on racing with these master mode switches is things like that lag, where you're just forced to go rather slow for no reason in a much more undesirable flight model when it comes to racing. As you can see, I'm going to do that same method here, turn the engines off, the engines back on, and then I'm going to quickly recover in a second here and move back down to the track. And I'm staying in, and because I'm staying in nav mode, I'm able to keep much higher speeds, end up with a much faster time. I don't see any reason why racers will ever do any racing in anything other than in this nav mode. Like, you again watch this section. How often is my speed above SCM? Almost constantly. You just need to make these adjustments. The one thing I do really like about these master mode changes is actually the loss of tricording. It was something that took me a little bit to get used to, but I can understand why this is beneficial when it comes to bringing different input methods in line with each other to make them much more even. But I thought it was a little interesting. It's just I have to lose some habits. As you see, I'm still using tricording. And this time, using that braking method, my final time is almost, look at this, 146. It is almost 10 seconds faster than using the braking of nav to SCM. And I recognize this might be seen as a bug, but I do think this shows a method that is better than the swapping from nav to SCM, at least as an experience as a racer. You see here, it still requires some skill. I lose track of the track a little bit and have to bring myself back in. So it's not just a freebie brake. There still is a little bit of setting up to do. But what you will see, another thing about these master mode changes, and you'll see on this lap as I go through it, I have no boost. So on this lap, I'm actually being forced to do almost my entire lap and almost the entire track moving at much slower speeds than I would like to. but because I don't have any boost to recover in any turns and bring myself back into my line on the track, it's unreasonable for me to go back up to those other speeds. You'll notice probably here, again, I use the engine brakes. I believe I use a little bit of boost in some of these tight sections where I'm a little more concerned about my survivability. Like this section down here, when you come back up, I will end up using my boost. But what I think is interesting about this, that is a good thing, a good change with Master Mode, is in longer races, anything past a few laps, racers will be forced to be much more conservative with their boost and should keep racing much tighter. And I think this is a net positive change with these Master Modes changes. So I think it's not all bad. You know, I think some racers and some people in the community are not very excited about these changes, and I think there are definitely many rooms for improvement. But I actually think this reduced total amount of boost that you have is a net good, at least for ship-to-ship racing when you're racing against other ship racers. And you'll see on this time that I'll come in. Let's see, I did a 155 when I was using all my boost, but I had the normal SCM change, and then I did a 146, and here I'll do a I believe it was 156. So it's about 10 seconds slower, so it's quite a bit slower, which makes it interesting. Time trials will be 10 seconds faster on a track like this than their racing times that people will be doing. And I think these are very good things and good things overall for changes. Ways that I think this could be, these problems with like SCM and nav could be mitigated. I'm not the biggest fan of this big engine brake that you have to do. I think that if instead there is simply a racing or a performance mode outside of the SCM and nav modes, something that it's been suggested by EchoBit, was the first person I saw who made the suggestion. This racing mode where, say, it takes a long time for it to charge up. It is not an immediate moving into this much faster racing mode, so it's a much more difficult for someone to use it in a combat scenario. Make it so that there's none of these navigations. Like you can see here, it's showing the jump point when I'm in nav mode. This is because when you're in nav mode, that's when you're making your quantum boosts or jumps, and I don't remember which it is, to locations. And this kind of sucks in racing. It's very distracting, and it's very in your eyes. And so that's something that I would like that we can toggle off, at least if we're not getting the race mode. But it's things like that in race mode that would be beneficial. If you go to the 322 feedback thread, I posted a fairly lengthy response, and then Echo responded to that one, and I think that what she said in response there was a great response. I think it would be a good solution to this problem. I have heard that some devs, or at least I've heard that the devs are not super interested in adding this performance mode. So if that's not something that's possible, then I think that just a few more tweaks to this model, and we could get into a reasonable place for it to work. I don't think it's very far off. I am very excited to see how things work in different areas. At Atmosphere, for example, I can't wait. I think Atmosphere will be very similar to its current style for racing, because the Atmosphere will all be in nav mode. It's just now there's going to be much less boost. And here you can see when you do a lot of laps, eventually it's going to catch up to you. You can't always be perfect, but yeah, I really do think that Atmosphere racing will be interesting to see how it works. I think it will be not too far off from what we have now if they maintain these current changes, but as I understand it, they're not yet testing that. So anyways, as I said, my name was Dirk with Sanguis Luna on the racing team, and I hope that you took the time to listen to all my feedback and take it to heart if you're a dev, and hopefully we can make some positive changes and make racing and Star Citizen, make it a really great thing and make it continue to thrive as it's been thriving, and continue to make positive changes in that direction. Thanks.